Elias Kane had never seen a world like Zephyra before. From the moment his shuttle broke through the upper atmosphere, he felt as if he had entered a dream. The sky shimmered with two suns casting colors that humans had no names for. The forests below were alive with floating crystal formations that reflected light like tiny stars. Rivers glowed faintly, carrying what looked like liquid fire across the landscape. As the human delegation descended toward the palace, Elias felt a mix of awe and unease. Alien architecture rose from the cliffs in spiraling towers carved from crystal and living stone. Every detail seemed alive, pulsing faintly with energy. The Xiferan court was known across nearby systems for its intelligence and pride. Humans were visitors, curious and cautious. The shuttle doors opened and a group of Xiferan guards, tall and thin with translucent skin and glowing eyes, stepped forward. Their movements were elegant, precise, almost rehearsed. Elias straightened, feeling the weight of his role as part of the diplomatic mission. "Welcome, humans," said one of the guards in perfect, basic galactic. "I am Varen, chief advisor to Queen Seraphine. You will be escorted to the palace." Elias followed the guards, taking in every detail. The palace was immense, its hallways twisting like a living labyrinth. Crystalline vines grew along walls, pulsing gently with energy. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar flowers that glowed faintly. Every step he took seemed to hum in resonance with the palace itself. Finally, they arrived at the central chamber. There, sitting on a throne that shimmered like liquid light, was Queen Seraphine. Her presence was commanding yet elegant, her gaze sharp enough to make Elias feel exposed. Beside her, barely visible behind a curtain of light, was Princess Leora. She seemed frail, small in stature, her glowing eyes dimmed slightly. Something about her struck Elias immediately. Vulnerability and strength intertwined. "Captain Elias Kane," the Queen said, her voice echoing softly through the hall. "We have been expecting you." Elias bowed slightly. "It is an honor to be here, Your Majesty. We come in peace and with hope for friendship between our worlds." Queen Seraphine's gaze did not waver. "Hope," she repeated, almost tasting the word. "Hope is fragile, Captain. My daughter is very ill. Your people, despite your courage, are limited in your understanding of life energies. Can you help her?" Elias hesitated. The request was unusual, almost impossible. Humans had no experience with Xiferan biology, and yet the Queen's eyes held no doubt that he might. "I will do everything I can," he said. The Queen nodded, then gestured to a figure stepping forward. High Priest Varan, an older Xiferan, moved gracefully, his translucent skin shimmering with faint patterns. "There is one chance," he said, his voice soft but firm. "An ancient ritual exists. It requires a pure-hearted outsider to share blood with the princess. The bond allows life energy to flow between them, stabilizing her condition. It is dangerous. The outsider may not survive." Elias's heart tightened. He glanced at Leora. She lay on a luminous bed, barely moving, her chest rising and falling weakly. Her glowing eyes flickered as if she were slipping in and out of consciousness. "I will do it," Elias said without hesitation. Around him, the Xiferan court gasped. Humans did not typically risk themselves in such rituals. Courage and selflessness. These were traits they had only observed in legend, not in practice. "You understand the risks?" High Priest Varen asked. "I do," Elias replied. "I accept them." The ritual began in a chamber deep within the palace. The walls were crystalline, glowing faintly with an inner light that responded to life energy. Leora was placed on a platform of energy-conducting crystal, and Elias knelt beside her. Varen guided the procedure, carefully drawing a small amount of Elias's blood into a shimmering crystal vial. The air shimmered, pulsing with an energy that felt alive. When the blood was applied to the princess, the crystal platform absorbed it, glowing brighter with every heartbeat. At first, nothing happened. Elias held his breath, afraid that he had failed. Then faintly at first he felt something, an echo of life, faint but undeniable. The connection formed like a bridge between two souls. Leora's eyes flickered brighter now, and for a moment, Elias could sense her fear, her pain, and surprisingly, her hope. A surge of energy pulsed through both of them, and Elias felt a strange warmth spreading through his body. His mind tingled as if opening to a new world of sensations. For a fleeting moment he saw the world through Leora's eyes. The colors, the lights, the energy that flowed through every living thing on Zephyra. He felt her fear and curiosity, her longing to survive, and he responded with courage and calm. When the ritual ended, Leora opened her eyes fully for the first time in days. The glow was not just in her eyes, but emanating from her very being. She could move, her strength returning faster than the doctors expected. Even the court looked astonished. Elias rose, feeling a strange, lingering connection, a psychic bond he could not explain. He sensed that Leora was aware of him not only physically but mentally. She could feel his presence, his thoughts, and he hers. The court murmured in shock. Some bowed, some whispered in fear, and some stared with awe. Queen Seraphine watched silently, her eyes narrowed but thoughtful. "You have saved her," she said finally, her voice calm but measured. "Yet what you have done has changed more than her life. You have awakened something in her, something old and powerful, and I do not yet know if it is a blessing or a danger." Elias felt a flicker of unease. He had acted out of courage, but the effects of his action were beyond his understanding. Yet when he looked at Leora, now sitting up and looking directly at him, he saw gratitude and curiosity in her eyes. He knew they were now connected in ways he could not yet comprehend. High Priest Varen stepped forward. "This bond," he said slowly, "was foretold in prophecy. A foreigner, brave and pure of heart, would give life to our princess and awaken the dormant energy within her. You may not know it, human, but you have become part of something much larger than yourself." Elias took a deep breath, trying to absorb the enormity of what he had just done. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, seen as fragile and limited. Yet here, on a distant planet, one human had changed the fate of a civilization. The princess reached out and touched his hand, her fingers glowing faintly. He felt a jolt of energy and with it an unspoken understanding. They could communicate beyond words. Her thoughts, her feelings, her fear, and her hope flowed into him, and he responded in kind. What is happening?" He whispered. "You are connected," Leora said softly, her voice carrying through the psychic bond. "I can feel your courage. It is strange. Comforting, I think. I can live because of you," Elias nodded. "And I will stay by your side, princess." No matter what happens, the court was silent, unsure how to respond. Some saw the human as a hero. Others feared the bond, not fully understanding its implications. Queen Seraphine remained still, her thoughts hidden, calculating, observing. She had seen many things in her long life, but humans were unpredictable, and this human, he had done what no Zephyran would dare. As the night fell over Zyphira, the palace shimmered with light, reflecting the energy that now flowed between Elias and Leora. Outside, the glowing rivers carried their story across the land. A human had given his blood to an alien princess, and the result had shaken everyone who witnessed it. Elias lay awake that night in the human quarters, feeling the residual connection to Leora. He could sense her dreams, her thoughts wandering in wonder at her own awakening. He realized that this bond was more than life-saving. It was transformative. Something in him had changed as well. Humans had courage, yes, but they also had adaptability, empathy, and strength that even the most advanced civilizations often underestimated. And now, for the first time in the history of Zyphira, a human would stand beside the princess not just as a protector, but as a part of something far greater, a bond that could shape the future of a world. Outside, the palace shimmered under the twin suns as if aware that history had been made that night, and somewhere deep in the crystal forests, a whisper of prophecy began to stir, sensing the arrival of a human catalyst who might change everything. Part 1 ended with the court in awe, some in fear, some in hope. Elias had survived the ritual, and Leora had awakened powers no one fully understood. The story was far from over. The morning sun of Zyphira rose between its twin stars, casting a golden glow across the crystal towers of the palace. Captain Elias Kane awoke in the human quarters, feeling the faint pulse of Leora's energy still in his mind. The bond they shared was stronger now, a quiet hum connecting their thoughts and emotions even across distance. He sat up, stretching, and sensed movement in the palace beyond the walls. Something was stirring. In the palace halls, Queen Seraphine convened her council. The princess's awakening had brought both awe and fear. Many nobles whispered of prophecy, of ancient texts that spoke of a catalyst from beyond the stars who would change Zyphira forever. Others viewed the human with suspicion. Could a single outsider, untested in Zyphiran politics and culture, really be trusted with the life of the princess? Elias left his quarters and walked carefully through the corridors, guided subtly by the bond with Leora. She was already awake, sitting in the chamber where the ritual had taken place. Her energy flowed freely now, small tendrils of light dancing around her hands as she explored the limits of her newfound powers. When she saw him, a smile lit her face and he felt a warmth in his chest. "You are early," she said softly, her voice reaching him not just through sound but through thought. "I needed to check on you," he replied, smiling. "Are you feeling better?" "Better," she said, laughing lightly, a sound like wind through crystals. "I feel alive, more than alive. I can feel the energy around me and I think I can control it. But it is strange, and sometimes frightening. Fear is natural," he said. "We humans feel it too, but courage is acting despite fear. You have courage," her eyes brightened. "And you gave me that courage. I felt it, flowing into me." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of hurried footsteps. A young Zifferan guard entered, bowing rapidly. "Princess Leora, Captain Kane, there is danger approaching the palace. Scouts report movement from the western cliffs. It appears to be a rogue faction. Armed and hostile." Elias's jaw tightened. He had anticipated political tension, perhaps whispers of doubt, but not direct attack. Yet in his heart he knew he could not hesitate. "Lead me there," he said, standing tall. Leora rose gracefully. "I will come," she said. "I can help." Elias hesitated for a moment. Humans were strong and clever, yes, but they could not match the energy she now commanded. Yet he had no doubt she could. Together they would face whatever threat approached. Outside, the palace grounds stretched over cliffs and glowing rivers. The rogue faction emerged from a hidden canyon, their crystalline armor glinting under the sun. Their leader, a tall Zypheran with dark energy swirling around him, raised a hand signaling an attack. Elias moved first, analyzing their formation. Using human tactics, he directed the palace guards to flank the attackers, taking advantage of the terrain. Leora floated slightly above the ground, her hands glowing with energy, sending pulses of light that disarmed and disoriented the enemy. The battle was swift but intense. Elias dodged a plasma spear aimed at his chest, rolling and countering with precise strikes. Leora's energy shielded him from another attack, the bond between them allowing instinctive coordination. They moved as one, human courage and alien power blending seamlessly. When the battle ended, the rogue faction lay defeated, scattered across the cliffs. Elias knelt briefly, catching his breath while Leora hovered beside him, her glow softening. "You fought well," she said. "Together we are stronger than I imagined." "Yes," he agreed. "And it is only the beginning." Word of their victory spread quickly through the palace. Some nobles cheered, seeing the human as a hero. Others whispered in fear, questioning the power of the princess and the strange bond that linked her to an outsider. Queen Seraphine observed everything carefully, her expression unreadable. Later, in a quiet chamber, she spoke to Elias. "You have saved my daughter," she said. "But your role here is not finished. The bond you share with her has consequences far beyond what you know. Leora's energy has awakened something ancient, something that could shape the future of our species. Humans are not meant to be involved, yet here you are. I do not fully understand why, but I see your courage and your heart. That is enough, for now." Elias nodded, understanding that while he had acted with simple bravery, the result was extraordinary. "I only wish to help," he said. "If I can protect her and your people, I will." The queen studied him, then inclined her head slightly. "Very well. You will remain by her side. But remember, the galaxy is watching. What happens here may ripple far beyond Zyphera." Meanwhile, Leora explored the limits of her new abilities. With the psychic bond, she could sense Elias's presence even when he was not near. She discovered that she could heal minor injuries, manipulate light and energy, and even influence plant life around the palace. Each discovery thrilled her but also made her wary. The power was intoxicating and she feared losing control. Elias watched her quietly, sensing her inner conflict. "Power can be frightening," he said gently, "but courage is knowing what to do with it. You are not alone. We are connected. Together we can control this." Leora nodded, feeling the truth in his words. She realized that this human, so ordinary in appearance, was extraordinary in essence. Humans, with their will, adaptability, and empathy, were capable of courage that even the most advanced Zypheran could admire. As days passed, the palace slowly adapted to the changes. Nobles debated the human's role, some advocating for him to stay as protector, others urging caution. Leora's powers grew, and with them the bond with Elias strengthened. They could communicate silently, anticipate danger, and even share emotions in ways neither fully understood. One evening, as the twin suns set, painting the sky in colors impossible to name, a council meeting was called. High Priest Veron presented ancient texts, revealing the prophecy that had long been forgotten. It speaks of a catalyst from another world, he said, one who will awaken the dormant potential within our species. The human you see before you is that catalyst. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Some gasped in fear, others in awe. Elias remained calm, absorbing the weight of what was being said. He had acted out of courage, out of instinct to help, and now he was part of something far larger than himself. Queen Seraphine spoke, her voice steady. If what Veron says is true, then humans are not merely visitors to our world. They are participants in a destiny we do not fully understand. Captain Kane, you must remain here, not as a guest, but as a bridge between our worlds. Protect my daughter. Help guide our people. Your courage has earned you this responsibility. Elias bowed. I will not fail, Your Majesty. The court slowly accepted the decision, though whispers continued. Outside, the crystal forest glowed under the night sky, and the river shimmered with energy that seemed to pulse in anticipation. The bond between human and princess was no longer a secret. It was a force that could influence the future of Zyphira. In the following weeks, Elias trained alongside the palace guards, teaching human tactics and strategies. Leora honed her powers, learning to control her energy with precision. Their bond grew stronger, a silent understanding forming that neither had expected but both welcomed. One night, as Elias patrolled the palace grounds, he felt a sudden surge through the bond. Leora's energy flared with urgency. Captain, her voice echoed in his mind, something is coming. Not from here, from beyond the stars. They know about me. About us, Elias's heart pounded. The galaxy was watching, just as Queen Seraphine had said. But fear did not control him. Courage did. And together, he and Leora would face whatever was coming. He looked out over the glowing rivers, feeling the weight and honor of what he had done. A human had given his blood to an alien princess, and in doing so had become part of a destiny far greater than anyone could have imagined. The story of courage, unity, and human potential had only just begun. As the stars shone above Zyphira, Elias and Leora stood side by side, ready to meet the challenges ahead. The bond between them was more than survival. It was a bridge between species, a spark of hope, and a promise that humans could shine, even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy. And so the world watched, waiting to see what this human catalyst would achieve. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Zyphira had hope, and humans had a place among the stars.